Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Teachings. Well guys, another great Friday, a lot of Friday in the books, very successful, profitable Friday. And before I start guys, today we had very successful webinar, 2-hour webinar on trading low floats and penny stocks, repeatable setups. Went in detail with all the setups, how to trade them, different setups, where to enter, where to exit. So thanks for joining, whoever joined. And if you want to watch the webinar, join our community, and you can watch many more webinars. These are all the webinars that I do, 2 hours webinars, detailed webinars. Most of the things that I discuss in the recaps are based out of these webinars. So definitely take a look. If you want to join, there will be discount codes in my video. So definitely try to watch these webinars if you are interested. I teach everything that I talk in these recaps in detail in my webinar, whether it's morning setups, midday setups, with PowerPoints, detailed slides, PowerPoints and videos, and everything that we do. So anyways, just wanted to show that about our webinars and the webinars I did today. And thanks for everybody for joining. And let's start with some introduction now. So these trade recaps and teachings are from trades I take or trades I don't take, but these are the trades from our trading community. Any trades I mention on Twitter, or any trades I share with you guys in previous YouTube videos. So we try to see where we made money, where we lost money, what were the repeatable setups for trading stocks and options, and what were the repeatable system for trading stocks and options that we executed. If we lost money, what was the reason, and how we executed it, and what was the setup. We do not trade random. We follow strict setups and system that I just showed you, that I teach you every day in my recaps, in my webinars, on my free website, on YouTube, everywhere. And every morning we are up for the day trades. My team is up few hours before the market open. We go through upgrades, downgrades, up gappers, down gappers, all the news, earnings, and we create what we call as a daily game plan news play. This was a game plan for today: Adobe, ULTA, PD Smart, GRPN, CDLX, JBL, and Tesla. These were the bunch of the names which were on our watch list today, and we will talk about how we played them. A lot of these were very successful: Adobe, ULTA, JBL, Groupon. These were one of the good ones, and we will discuss them one by one and show you how we played the Lotto Friday and how you could make 100% gains on your option trades on Lotto Friday with good risk reward. So stay tuned. If you are interested in a particular setup, just you can forward to that segment. But I'm gonna go through the most of today's winners, and I think there was one loser, all the setups in detail, and I will show you my time-stamped commentary. I'm usually on voice first few hours when the market opens, guiding everybody through the market, long or short, through the various plays. But I will show you my time-stamped guidance. You can see my trades or my positions, how they played out. So we'll discuss all that. Stay tuned. Here we go, the first play of the day. So first play of the day are we going to talk about is Adobe. So let's go back and see what was our market plan on Adobe. Let's go there and see what was our plan on Adobe. So our plan on Adobe was, Adobe had a news forecast, downbeat second quarter revenue. Adobe was gapping down. 500 was support, resistance pivot was 512, 530. Our plan was pretty simple: short under 500, long over it, but it needs to be over 513 to give us a convincing long. So that was our plan, pretty straightforward plan based upon the pivot levels and 500 psychological level. As soon as the market opened, I waited for a few minutes. I waited for 1 minute. I waited for 2 minutes. And then I saw the rejection on Adobe. I went to the smaller time frame. I went to 3 time frame to see 3 minutes to see what's happening. I saw the rejection. I saw the rejection on on the second candle, and that's where I said, let's short it. And I started 490 puts on Adobe, and quickly my puts were 25%. And then I told everybody, this is my timestamp comments, that we want to see reject of 500. That gives us more confidence. And and after that, it was just managing the trade, guiding the community through that trade. And right away Adobe flushed, hit 494. The puts went for a 70%, you know, and Adobe flushed more by 10 a.m. By 10 a.m. if I go back to the 10 minutes, you know, I can show you now. By 10 a.m. our puts were already let's go where it goes. Yeah, so by 10 a.m. we hit our target of 490. Our puts were 100%. So we logged most there. We logged 100% put, and then we waited for a bounce. It bounced into 512 EMAs, and that's where I told everybody, if you see here, I told everybody, if you are profitable, you can roll into the next Lottos, 480Ps, 485Ps, whatever you want. I gave them an example. If you see here, if you made $1,000, you can throw 200, 300 into the next Lottos. What I did was I threw it in 485 puts. I already made 110% or 100%. You can see here, time stamped. And then what I did was I added into the next put. So the next put I added was on Adobe 485p. And then my 485p, you know, we see it's EMA clouds are telling us still going down, and that became 40%. Then finally my 485p went 140%. So I hit 140% target on my Adobe put as well. So the point was that you see the 500 was defined risk. You could have better entry at 502, 501. 500 was a risk. You shorted, risking that you risked, let's say you missed $2 or $3, but this was perfect. You risked like $1, $2, and you made like $10 to $15. So your risk reward was 1 to 10. That's amazing because the level was clear. And on the puts, we did trades twice. If I bought options for 3,000, I made 3,000 once. And if I rolled into a 485 where I bought invested $1,000 out of the first 3,000 I made another $1,000. So exponentially I made $4,000 on just, you know, small option trade. And if I went higher position, if my account was bigger, I literally could have, you know, have a big day. So giving you examples on how you could trade the Lotto options on this gap down setup, and you can exponentially grow your account playing these A+ and setups. And definitely we would have stopped out and moved on if it moved over 500. But these setups, amazing setups, stress-free setups, hold your winners. EMA Clouds is holding, beautiful winner. You can see my time-stamped guidance, no hindsight, no BS. Everything is in right front of you, where I added, what were my options, what were they initially, where they went to, everything step by step explained and shown how I execute my options. And I also gave the game plan completely in the pre-market, so can't be better than that, right? I completely, even if you blindly used my game plan, you could have made money. I don't recommend that, but the point is repeatable setups, follow your system, that works. That's how you will make consistent money. Let's go to the next one. So next one we're going to discuss is MDGL, another one from our game plan. Let's go back and look at what was our game plan on MDGL. Our game plan on MDGL was pretty straightforward because MDGL was, you know, it had some buy rating, there was some FDA news. I said short under 300, long over it. As simple as it gets. Short over 300, long over it. And look what happened. As soon as I saw the weakness, I said gap fill watch versus 300. You can pause it, look at the screen, but this trade went on from, you know, I don't really want to have to explain to anybody who's older follower. You can see the setup, gap fill setup. We played it so many times. It didn't work on Oracle. We played it in ADSK for huge wins. I mean, that's like, if you risked $1,000, you probably made like 10 grand or more, you know, based on this trade, because look at the risk reward, right? Faded from 292s, or even if you added closer to 300, it faded all the way to 60 bucks. You know, this $30 to $40 per share profit. That's how you make money. That's how you stay consistent and you grow exponentially. And you make sure the puts were very spready. I didn't take it, but even if somebody take the puts on it, the 260 puts went 300%. So another great trade on MDG. So next one we are going to discuss is our SPY QQQ short at the open and all day fade on SPY QQQ guidance. So SPY, as always, I'm always at the open and I'm on voice for first 2-3 hours. I'm guiding everybody through the trades. I'm talking about what market is doing. So this morning, as soon as the market opened, I told everybody market is bearish and we can short it. So initially it was holding the PM lows, but as soon as that broke, so I told everybody to short it, and it's breaking down, and then we shorted it. We got in the puts, and the QQQ failed from SPY failed from 512s all the way to 508. And we can go to our so these are the, we provide every day, we provide our daily levels for the traders to trade. If you look, that my support level was 512.49. When 512.49 gave up, and then after that it just faded, right? And the same thing for QQQ. We can go to the levels that we provide to the community every day. So the QQQ support pivot was 437.58, and once that 437.58 was broken, QQQ was fading. So we were all in the puts. You can pause the screen and you can look here all on the the short size. I told everybody that I covered my puts around when this was swiping back up. That's where I covered all my QQQ puts, because I was mostly in QQQ. So you can see, okay, let me show you this way. So you can see the timestamp guidance on QQQ puts and on the 436 puts, and when they hit that area, that's where I covered, and then they bounce. But you can see that I even told the community when we were breaking down here. So if you look here, so on QQQ, when we were breaking this area, that's when I told the community that we are breaking down, and that was around 11, right? That it's breaking down, and then it fell, and that's where you short it again, right? You short it on this trend line break, you short it, and then you ride it back down under. I was not part of this trade, my short was this, but I still guided my community on that trade. If if I go back here, you will see that the price alerts were coming down around on that the breakdown of QQQ when it was breaking that level. So all day short, beautiful trade, opening short, midday short, beautiful guidance in the community. Really everybody did really.
Next one we're going to look at is S. So S was our day 2 setup, and let's look at what were our levels on S. 2280 was support and resistance was 2360, and we were following our day 2 rules as you see here. So those were our rules for day 2. Every day we have these day 2, day 3 setups. So let's see what S did. So as soon as market open, S was weak, was under our pivot levels. I mentioned it as a day 2 short. You can see there 947. I mentioned it, and then you take the short under those levels, you hit the bounces, all day fade. And also look at how the daily chart on S was bearish, right? It was breaking down a big level, and it was going down into a gap. So if you see carefully, you will see the gap here, right? So there's 1 hour is bearish and the daily chart has a gap. So that gives you extra confidence to short it on a day 2. And very stress-free trade. Here's the gap. That was the daily gap. So kind of bouncing it from there. So we'll be watching it next week as well. See if we get a day 3 on it. But was a very good successful short. So next one we are going to look at is JBL. So let's see what was the levels on JBL. The 130 was support and resistance was 136, 142. It was neutral to bearish. So that was our plan as per our game plan in the morning. So let's see what JBL does at the open. At the open right away, it breaks under our pivot levels. You see that the breakdown on the pivot levels. It does bounce, but that's where you short it as well. It's not bullish, it's bearish, right? So when that short rejects and it fades right back under that support, under the pivot levels, then you can add more, or you can just hold your short. So you add the pops, and then you can add this break of this pivot, and then you just ride it all the way down. And you can see my comments here, time-stamped comments, that JBL is bearish. In the morning I told everybody, and and that was the signal. And you can see the daily chart breaking the 50 EMA. Daily chart is pretty bearish here on the bottom right side. You can see that. So yes, another successful idea from the morning game plan for us. So all these setups, they are the similar earning setups, right? It's a gap down short. So you need to know what setup it is. And if you have seen my past videos, it's always the same similar setup that we repeat again and again and again. We do not do anything different. So same thing was JBL. So that's why we had our game plan in the pre-market. And it's not that it's set faded and it can't fade more. It can definitely fade much more. And once it breaks those pivots, that gives you confirmation that today we're going to fade. And that's why what was my comment. And I told everybody cover some in 123 and leave 1/3. And at the end of the day, it was great trade for us. We will be watching again. So other one was PD. So PD was kind of a loser for us. Let's see what were the levels for PD for us. So the levels on PD today were 20 and 2140, and bearish to neutral was the plan, but right away it swipes up and it pulls down. And when it pulls down, at that time, we have to see, is it a short or not? But it held it. You see, it did not make a lower low, and it held it, went to the consolidation. At this point, when it's over the 512, it's no longer a short. So that bearish sentiment, the bearish trade goes out of the way, and you just have to step away. And you can try the shorts here, but it did not work, right? So you just step away. When you see this bullish tight contraction happening, you step away, and then as soon as it pushes over the EMA clouds, that means it's going to be a bullish trade. So short didn't work there, but definitely it was long was a good setup if you traded there over the EMA clouds versus when this flag breakout was happening, which was definitely a bullish pattern that you have to watch. You should watch these intraday. These patterns are very important because the short didn't work. So next one we're going to look at is AMD. So what was our level on AMD from the pre-market? 187.50, 188.89. So these were the levels that we gave to everyone in the pre-market. So AMD, if you see that, it was also the trade mostly from the community. I was not looking at it, and then suddenly they told that's breaking the pivot, and that's where I said, since it's breaking our pivot, resistance pivots, and it's getting over the EMA cloud, it's a long setup. It's a long setup because it's breaking out of that level, and we can take because once it breaks that pre-market highs and that pivot levels, we know it can push. And of course we were watching NVDA and all those other stocks, and if you see on the trading floor, we were talking about AMD. Everybody was on top of AMD when that breakout was happening, and that's where we took the calls as well on that pivot breakout. And you could see NVIDIA at the same time. There was a call flow coming in, which we will discuss, but you can see that how we traded. I added the AMD calls on that pivot break. I was a little late actually. Most people were early, and you see in the morning only I told everybody to focus on AMD. Tesla, NVIDIA will be our focus, right? So I take those calls, 192.50s, they went 25%, then 50%, then 92%, then 108%, just on this breakout that I'm just showing you. And you can see the live stamped my trades on that option. And thanks to our trading floor, such smart traders, everybody was on top of it. So AMD was definitely teamwork in the community today, and which really worked out nicely. So you need to focus on these levels, and then you need to look at the flow, which we will discuss in the next NVIDIA idea, and see how the sector is doing. Now the daily has some resistance here at 21 EMA. We'll see 1 hour has some resistance that we'll see if it breaks on Monday, so we can trade it long over that resistance. Definitely we'll set some price alerts here, and then we'll watch how that works out for us. So you can see that there's a support that's held right today. That's where it bounced from. That's 3450 EMA Cloud support. That's where it bounced from. Next one we're going to look at is NVIDIA. So NVIDIA was our trade as well in the community today, especially because of the flow. Especially because of the flow was coming in today. There's a lot of flow coming in, and you can see I was talking about the flow here. And reason we watched the flow on Friday, because if somebody is spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on the same day expiry, you can see here they were buying 900 calls for 400,000. And at that time, the Lotos were like $2.30-50 for the same day. They were expiring, right? So that was a very bullish flow. And at the same time, NVIDIA was breaking that pivot. And if somebody is buying those calls, it's we can follow it, and we can see the whole semiconductor sector is strong. NVIDIA is breaking out of those EMA cloud levels and the downtrend line, and that's where you can long it. You can either long the wait for the EMA cloud breakout, or you can just follow the flow. Risk your whatever you're willing to lose, risk on that, and look at your pivot levels. These were our pivot levels, 880, 891. You can see there, and those pivot levels were breaking out. You saw the 880 breaking out. That's where everybody in community was taking it long, and even those 900 calls that came in flow, they went 100%. By the time we hit, I was thinking we hit 900. But it still was a decent move. On NVIDIA. You saw our AMD trade and then NVIDIA as well. So both were definitely good trades. And at the end of the day, it broke 34.50. That's where you get out. And I told everybody to get out. I gave them the warning, and you see the fade of less $10 there, almost on that breakdown. Fade of less. Next one we're going to look at is ULTA. So ULTA, what was our plan? It was on our game plan. 520 was our support, 533 was resistance pivot, 517 was another level. I had a bearish bias to short the pops, but I also told everyone, just be careful of a B minus, right? A bounce. The problem was ULTA kind of, dipped right before the market open. It spoiled the complete setup. And right before the market open, it's, pushed to 500 psychological level, and the buyers came in at that 500 psychological level, and they kind of swiped it right back. At that point, I was looking to short. If it rejects those 3450 EMA clouds, I was looking to see if it rejects, then I would take a short, but they were not rejecting. It was showing me a bullish flag right under the EMA clouds, so there was no short on there, right? So the short was out of the way. It was over 512 EMA clouds. Now we were looking for opportunity to trade it. That's when I told everybody that so you can see I told everybody about the levels, 525, 530s, 500 level, and I told everybody do not short it, it's strong. And then you see I was on voice, I talked about 540 calls. On this breakout we can take the 540 calls, and the 540 calls went 100%, on that breakout from the 530, and you saw the pivot level that I gave, 533, and you can see that's where I said the 540 calls, Lotos have spread, but you can trade those 540s. And Nancy did really good there on ULTA, and ULTA, as you see, the traders in the community really did good on that ULTA idea. And it was just by the system, right? We were short biased, but when we see the bullish, we turn bullish. And even on that breakout of 530, 533, it went over $10-12, which was enough for your option Lotto to give you decent returns. So big bounce on ULTA on daily. So we'll be watching it for our day twos. So Groupon was another one which was a winning idea from our watch list, and you see that I was a bearish bias there, and you see 1760, 1840 were two levels. So my bias was already bearish on the Groupon, and that's what I wanted to short it. And as soon as the market opened, you see it's heavy, breaks the bear flag in first 10 minutes, and then breaks another bear flag after 10 a.m. and it's all day fader. You see the daily has breaking down on 50 EMA. So look at that range, guys. Look at that range. Beautiful trade. I personally didn't trade it, but look at the level I gave, right? The 760 level and the bearish bias. As soon as the 760 level broke, Groupon was no looking back on Groupon. It was just a fade. And these are the opportunities you really need to. That's why I keep saying repeatable setup. Look at the daily chart. Look at the 1 hour. And so that these are the ones trades which you need to capitalize on. Let the runners run. Look at the EMA clouds. There was no reason to cover it until end of the day. So next one was CDLX. 1140 was support, 1260 was resistance, bullish bias versus the clouds. That was the game plan I gave everyone. And if you see, it pushed at the open, pulls back, right to the EMA clouds. That's where it pulls back, and there's also some pre-market support there, and from that's a midday setup that I teach in the webinar. You can see the support from the pre-market there and the EMA clouds, and that's where you take it long. You see the bounce, you risk, you know, there's a support there, EMA cloud there, and there's a downtrend line breaking out, and that was a nice trade there for almost $3. So repeatable EMA cloud midday setup. So next we're going to look at coin and MSTR. Both were on a watch list. We were swinging the puts. I told everybody to cover the puts in the morning, and after that it's over the EMA cloud, especially coin, then MSTR, and look at that move since it pushed over the cloud. Let's look at coin. Look at the move. You know, so you cover your puts and you get the long into the gap over the EMA clouds. This was every day's on our watch list, coin and MSTR. So you can see that that's where you long, you put your stops under that pre-market lows, and even from the EMA cloud reclaim, there was a decent you know, push. Look at that. That was from 227 all the way to 242s. So all the community was long on it. Very proud of everybody. You can see the trading floor. Everybody was trading it long. Really good job by everyone there in the community, right? So you can see that on the daily chart as well, that's a big move. So we'll be watching coin on next week as well, see if it rejects that 512 clouds or hold it. And daily chart is also trying to turn bullish, so we will watch that as well into next week, how that works out. But definitely a good trade on coin and MSTR today.